Well, good morning and welcome to Tristar Digging. I appreciate you joining us today, and welcome to day 3 of this house clearing site. And gonna be digging a foundation. Actually gonna be digging a basement. I think a 4 foot deep basement, and then making a pad area for the house. But just to catch you up to speed, if you hadn't caught the first video where I did the first couple of days work, you can go back and check that video out. It's probably the one right before this one. But anyway, let's take a look around now at what's been done so far. I do have the Cat 313 here, and it is doing the bulk of the work as far as taking down the trees, and the Cat D5 is sitting down there. I'm using it to push brush across the road and stumps and whatnot, and smoothing up this ground. All of this disturbed ground had big trees in it. You see the logs there. So the owners want me to cut logs out and save those logs, and I'll be putting those somewhere. Don't know where yet, but I'll be putting those somewhere along with the others. But all that was wooded area, and the house is pretty much sitting right here where the 313 is, and it's going to be facing, it's a walkout basement that way. So this is the long side of the house here, and then this will be a short side of the house. That's a walkout, and this is a walkout. So that's going to have to be cut down 4 feet in this area. I do have some big ones left yet to do. This is probably the biggest one. There's a white oak right there. It's pretty good size as well. Actually, there's 2 or 3 more pretty good sized trees in there. So these I'll be able to take out by the machine. It looks like there's about 6 or 7 of those. And then the work really starts, because these trees right here where the septic system's going to go, those have got to be hand cut. I'll have to cut these trees down and then drag them out with the excavator. And that requires my favorite tool for this job. Well, I said favorite. My least favorite piece of equipment for this job, and any job, is a chainsaw. I'm just not the chainsaw kind of guy. But anyway, it's got to be done, and we will certainly get it done. All right, enough yakking. Let's get to work. I think what I better do is move the dozer, because it's in danger of being hit by 2 or 3 of these big trees. So we'll get that out of the way, and we'll get these trees knocked down and get them cut up. All right, I got the saw hung as I usually do. Let's get that out. Got the saw unhung, and you can tell from those 2 cuts, that's a pretty good sized tree. And I sharpened my chain just a few minutes ago, and I'm taking out some big chips with it. But I need a new chain bad. I'm gonna try to get through the day and get this stuff worked up for sure, and then try to get me a chain picked up for tomorrow. But I got a lot of cutting here to do. I'll be back in just a few minutes and start cutting on some of the smaller stuff. Woo. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me or not, but it's hot out here. Golly. I'm gonna start on some of this smaller stuff now, and it don't take as long to cut that stuff up as it did that bigger stuff. But I just wanted to give you an idea how big that is. But anyway, I'm gonna cut up some of this smaller stuff and get ready to log this out and push this brush down there in the woods. Let's get some of this cut. Howdy guys. I did take a minute there off camera to file the rakers down. The teeth were sharp, but the rakers were too high, keeping the teeth up off the wood. After I filed those rakers down a little bit, it got a little better. Let's walk down here to the truck and fill this thing up fuel. I mentioned in an earlier video that I had broken the handle right here actually, and I was pulling, saw hung, and I was pulling on it, split that thing right in two. But that handle came in yesterday, and I'm thankful that it did, because it was kind of difficult to saw with a broke handle. Let's get this thing filled up with some fuel and get back at it. That's the last of the bar oil right there. That'd be just terrible if I didn't get to saw no more today after this tank full. That'd just break my heart. Of course it doesn't go in the truck. As I was filling up the chainsaw with fuel and oil there, I just got to thinking, this is the property that I was on several months ago, back earlier in the year, when the YouTube channel Tristar Diggin hit 1,000 subscribers. That was a big deal to me, and it still is. Now we're approaching 10,000 subscribers. So I just want to say thank you to that first 1,000 subscribers, and then the second 8,000 subscribers. That's going to put us up to 9,000 and headed to 10. So thank you for that. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, help us get up to 10,000. And I mentioned in some videos in past, I've got 10 shirts waiting for the 10,000 mark. When we hit 10,000 subscribers, going to have t-shirt giveaway. There'll be 10 of those to give away. So looking forward to that. And so let's get back to cutting this wood. To get day 4 started, and the first thing you want to do when you get to this job site is put on some bug spray, because I'll tell you right now, each one of these mosquitoes takes about a pint of blood each. So I mean, they find you as soon as you get out of the truck. Let's take a walk up through here and see what kind of conditions we got. We have had some heavy rain over the weekend. different thunderstorms coming through, and see if we'll even, yeah, it's gonna be fine. I'm just walking up through here, and it's kind of rocky soil and kind of sandy. There is clay underneath there, but it gets wet and sticky. But let's look at that. Yeah, that's fine. We can work in this, no problem. Let's check the cats, make sure the cats survive the weekend and no trees on them or anything like that. Checking all up. They are fine. So let's take a look here at what we want to accomplish for the day. And I want to get these trees down where the septic field system's going. And in order to do that, I've got to do that with the chainsaw. Get those trees on the ground and then drag them out so I can get them put in piles where they need to go. And the reason for that is because you can't dig up stumps in the area where the drain field's going. So that little clump of trees right there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big ones, and then all these little ones. So we will get those on the ground and get those worked up, get those moved out of the way. Hoping in the next day, day and a half, we can get all this taken care of and get these trees out of the way so we can get started on this pad in the basement. The reason I want to get those trees down first, because they're gonna have to be sawed, as I mentioned, and I bought a brand new chain for that saw. Before I get it dull, cutting into rocks and dirt with trees already on the ground, I'm gonna cut those down and make it a little easier. And the first thing I want to do is get these machines out of the way, get them backed up over here, because if you watch the first video of this job site, you know that things didn't go well. I would really like to cut all these trees and get them to go that direction. That's kind of wishful thinking, I believe. And if I had somebody here with me to saw those trees while I pushed them with the 313, I could put them where I wanted to. But when I start sawing on these trees, if I get the excavator against them and they decide to do something other than what I've got the excavator set up to, it's taking a big chance of that falling back on the machine and causing a lot of damage. And because of that, I am not taking that chance. And say for instance, this tree right here is curved and bent to go that direction. I'm going to try to notch it and bring it back through here, obviously move the machines, because I don't want it to limb and hurt these other trees. But either way, I am not putting a machine against them and taking a chance of damaging the machine. So they will just go where they go. Just as I expected, it sat down on the saw. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I should have just cut it to fall the other way and been done with it. But anyway, boy, it's aggravating. The only choice I got now is bring the excavator up here and push it down. And hopefully it don't destroy my saw. All right, I've got the excavator in here in place. I got a different plan. I generally make bad mistakes when I get aggravated. So I'll just stop for a few minutes to think about this. I don't need to destroy that saw. And I take a chance of that tree falling. If I push it, it's spinning, crushing that saw. I don't need that to happen. So what I've done is back the excavator down here between these two trees, which if that tree does start coming down, hopefully it'll fall either on that side or that side. It won't fall that way. It'll fall on that side of the tree, and that tree will protect it from coming back over on the excavator. So my plan is to put the bucket way up high and get that tree to fall back over this way, the way that it needs to, without destroying the saw and destroying some good trees down in there. That's what we're going to shoot for. Yeah, let's see what happens. All right, I've always heard with age comes wisdom, so that was the right thing to do, and it worked out great. Slow down, think about things just a little bit, and quit destroying my stuff. It's like, golly. All right, that one's on the ground. Let's get another one on the ground. I'm calling that success. That is exactly where I wanted it to go. Not by skill, that just happens to work that way. Now then, looking at this one is a bad leaner that way. So yeah, it's going that way. I am by no means a saw man, so I'm looking for some advice on that right there. My theory is notch it the way I wanted it to go, and then start doing a back cut to where my hinge was on this side, on the left side. So that's exactly what happened. I had more meat on this side hinging it to get it to pull and come down that direction. There's some thought about a plunge cut. I don't understand really what plunge cuts do, to be honest with you. So I'm looking for some advice on that. How should I have done that different, or is that the right way to do it? Boo-booed on that one. Cut all the way through and got the saw hung. So that one's a push with the excavator. It's caught up in the top of that tree. That's where I wanted it to go. I wanted it to fall to the left side of that big oak tree there without delimbing it. And it got hung up in the top. So I had to go get the excavator, push that a little bit, and get it going down. Before I can address that tree, get that down, I need to take care of that widowmaker right there. It's a dead tree just standing there in the way. I wonder that hadn't fallen on the machine or me yet. And I hope that folks learn from my mistakes, because that is certainly a mistake that I have been working around for the time that I've been here. That should have come down a long time ago. But it's just an oversight on my part, and that's what gets you hurt. Big creative plan for this other than just getting off my saw and get the tree down. Oh, I bet I just bent that saw blade. Wow. I did not expect that saw to be drug off that stump with that tree. Nope, we're good. We are good. Yes, I got it down and didn't tear up the saw. Okay, the next one on the agenda is this one right here, and the limbs are on that side of the tree. All the weight's over there. It's leaning that way. So we'll notch it on the right side, cut it on the left, and put it right over there. On the ground. Success. I really wanted to go that way, but I cut too much out on this side, hinged it on that side and messed up. What I'd have to do is kind of pull it and roll it off that bit bigger tree and get it to fall down in there. Those trees worked up now. Let's do a little bit of end cab action here. A couple of those trees that I just sawed up, there's some of Lindsay's favorite trees. He loves those hickory trees. He talks about how much he loves those every day. Something else interesting, I was watching one of Lindsay's videos last night, I think it was, where he was clearing off a big old mountainside location for a house, which is rare in Mississippi where he's at. Mostly that's flat ground down there. But anyway, he's working on the side of a hill and it was steep. It was really steep. A lot similar to what I work with. He made a comment that he doesn't care too much for doing the fine dirt work, so to say, like pads and footers and basements and stuff like that. He'd rather do the land clearing, clearing the trees. And I'm right the opposite. I had a whole lot rather be digging a basement, digging footers or cutting a pad, as to be taking down trees. So if you watch his channel, you watch my channel, you're going to get a little bit of both, because he loves the land clearing and I love the dirt work. Not that he don't do the dirt work, and not that I don't clean up trees, but we all have preferences. So I suppose if we live close enough together, we'd probably have a pretty good business together, because what he enjoys doing and what I enjoy doing is different, and that would make a good setup. But anyway, let's get some of these trees on out of the way. And what I'm doing, if you missed the first video, is stacking up these limbs and logs and pushing them right down in there where there's a big pile of stuff. So I'll take the dozer once I get them lined up here and push them down in there. And what I've done is save some saw logs. You see me cutting out these more precise sized logs. These are saw logs that I'm keeping for the customer and putting them back in the stored location. So at some point they can cut those up if they'd like to. Okay, we got a whole wall of logs and brush coming at you now. And when you get all that stuff lined up, the limbs and logs in the same direction, this old dozer can really flat push some stuff down the hill. Time for an update. Let's take a look around. This is the area I was working this morning where I saw cut those trees and cut those down and got those all cleaned up now. And then I took out a few more back in here and 5 or 6 down in that area there. You can't tell for those trees, but there is a major storm coming this way. There's actually a tornado warning coming from that storm that way till 7 p.m. tonight. I've got about an hour left before the storms and the rain and wind gets here. So what I'm going to do is take the 313 down to that pile of debris, and I've run out of room. I'm going to have to stack that stuff on top of itself and get it back out of the way. So I'd say about the time I finish that up, that is here. So let's get the 313 down there and get to moving. All right, I've got to get this done rather quickly because it is getting dark fast. Got some more room made in there now, and I need to take the dozer and push that mud and stuff out of the way, and because that stuff will slide in here better. Get that stuff out of the way tomorrow, and we'll be ready to start taking down some more trees. Don't like many. I'd say there's probably 5 or 10 more trees left, and then we'll be ready to start doing the dirt work here. Okay, I am back for day 5, and it looks like after the storms, there wasn't any significant damage here. There was a lot of rain though. This ground is absolutely soaking wet, but that's no problem. I'm just gonna be taking down trees today and getting ready to mark out the basement where it's going and dig it, probably starting tomorrow. But I was a little bit concerned I might have had some damage here, but it looks pretty good actually. And what I'm gonna start with this morning is this big boy right here. That is a big tree, and I've looked at it several ways, and there's just no way to get that thing, for me to get that thing to fall back this way, unless I put ropes or chains or whatever in it that I don't have to pull it back. And anyway, it just complicates the situation trying to do that. And the way that that tree is going to fall is right down through there. There's no way to prevent damage to those trees, you know, without spending a whole lot of time trying to pull it and whatever else. But anyway, I talked to the property owner, and this is the area where I believe I was told some solar panels are going to go anyway. So that's negated all that damage to those trees, because that's probably coming out anyway. But this is a big boy. I'm actually going to get the tape measure out here in a few minutes and measure all the way around it and see how far it is around. But yeah, we're going to dig that one down and push it down here in a minute. That tree is 11 feet around the bottom. Wow. Let's take a look now and see what kind of hole we had to dig for this thing. I basically had to dig a crater to get that train to come over. Big old hole. And broke the top out of that tree for sure. And unfortunately I just barely grazed these here on the left. And that's about all the damage we had, other than some small stuff in there. I don't think it reached the road. That way I don't have to spend a bunch of time real quick trying to clear the road. No, it didn't. It ended right here. That's good. Minimal damage. It's on the ground. Let's take some more down. Updating that tree that you saw me take down, that big huge tree that's 11 foot around the stump of it. That's it. That's the stump. I got it out and got it pushed down here into the woods along with his friends. But that's the biggest one I dealt with here, and that is a big one. So where I'm at now is I've started blading off the home site, and this is my junk pile. And you can see this area right here has been bladed off, and that this side's not, because I'm getting ready to dig the basement in the morning. We've measured out for the house and now know where we want the house, and we were going to daylight the entire backside out, but now we're just going to daylight half of it out. So let's walk up here to the top, take a look around, and we'll see what it looks like. Stand on top of the excavator now and take a look around. Just a point of reference, that's where that big tree was there. So I spent most of the day clearing out the trees that was in that area, and then some was in that area there. Where the excavator's setting is where the center of the house is. It's going to be 24 feet wide this way, and then it's going to come be 64 feet wide this way. Half of the basement on this side is going to daylight out and have a flat area, and there'll be a 2-car garage coming in on this end from the driveway down there. This is pretty much it as far as the trees go down. This is the area where I cut the trees out, and all this area, the perimeter now of the trees that will reach the house, with the exception of that big white oak and that big, I think that's a red oak. With the exception of those 2 trees there, they could reach the house, but they are very healthy and very nice trees, so we decided to leave those. And that's pretty much it for this part of it. I'm going to end the video here of the house clearing. tomorrow when I come back, I'll start out blading the rest of this property off where I've cleared, and then once I get that done, we'll start on the basement. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that video. That was probably one of the better land clearing videos that I've done, and I really enjoyed that work, and I also enjoyed making that video. And while I was editing, I really enjoyed how it all come together. So thank you for watching that, and I sure appreciate it. You want to stick around because for future videos, the dump truck here behind me, the hog, the JCB 714, is going under the knife. Getting some things done to it, getting some things fixed. Most importantly is the air conditioner. I've got a big job coming up, building a pond. So if you like pond videos, building a pond from scratch, basically clearing out some woods and building that pond, you're going to like that video. So probably in the next couple weeks we'll be getting started on that, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be an interesting little job there. The message I want to talk about today is a message about looking up. You know, I mentioned there in this video and the previous video about the widowmakers, those trees that were dead in the tops, and those limbs could fall on the machines or fall on you. And I've heard several terrible stories about limbs falling on men and taking their lives, and it's such a tragedy when something like that happens. And you know, and like that one I spoke about that was standing there, I've been working around that tree since I've been doing that job. But my mind was focused on looking around me, on the ground around me necessarily, looking at the bark of that tree and the trunk of that tree. It looked normal, it looked healthy, just like all the other trees that we're working on. What happened was I failed to keep an eye on the sky, so to say, to keep an eye on the canopies and tops of those trees, because that's where you see the deadness. That's where you see the brokenness of that tree and the troubles that that tree can bring in your life. So basically what I want to say about that is this: if we're just walking around in the world looking at what the world has to offer us, everything looks good, everything looks alive, everything looks promising, everything looks like fun. But if we're not looking up to God, if we're not putting God first in our life, so if our focus is not on God and looking up to Him for guidance and direction, we will fall prey to these temptations, we'll fall prey to these struggles and trials that comes into our life. And the next thing you know, we think we're standing by something healthy or something that's good for us, something that was fun. Next thing you know, those dead limbs come falling out of that tree and it'll knock you in the head. So what's important about this is that we need to look under God for our strength and for our provisions and for everything in this life. Make sure that everything that we're doing in our life squares up with His Word, squares up with who He is, because He'll never lead us astray. The Bible says He'll never forsake us, He'll never leave us alone. So we need to trust in that. I hope that you're a believer. I hope that you're trusting in Jesus Christ. If you're not, I would encourage you to look up unto God, and to come to know Him and trust in Him as Lord and Savior. Most important decision you'll ever make in your life is to trust in Him for eternal life, and that's through the sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross. He shed His blood for my sins and for the sins of those who believe. So God bless you, and I appreciate you watching.